Welcome to Habeas Treasurous, where I try to decipher this book, There's Treasure Inside by Jon Collins-Black, in order to find one of the 5 hidden treasures. On today's episode, I'll continue my breakdown of the lion's share box and discuss why I think understanding the tax laws could help us narrow down the possible states where the treasure is hidden. Let's begin! Okay, now I know this topic might not be everyone's favorite, but I think taxes could actually help us find the treasure, and here's why. My understanding of the current tax code, limited at best, is that when you find a treasure like the ones JCB has hidden, you have to declare the value of the treasure at the time you find it as income on your personal tax return. And more importantly for this discussion, the state in which you find the treasure determines how much state income tax you will have to pay. It turns out that there are a handful of states in the U.S. where you wouldn't have to pay any state income tax on the treasure, and then there are others where just your state tax bill could be over $200,000. Therefore, I think it's possible, and perhaps likely, that JCB considered this when he selected the places to hide the boxes. So let's take a look at a map of the U.S. showing the various state income tax levels. The map has been color-coded to show states with low income tax rates in blue and high income tax states in red. There are 9 states that have no state personal income tax. Those are Alaska, Florida, Nevada, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, and Wyoming. And then there are 2 states that have extremely high state income tax rates, California and New York. What I found most interesting about this graphic is that there are some situations where you can have a very high tax state like California next to a very low tax state like Nevada. This got me thinking about places like Lake Tahoe that straddle the border between the 2 states and the difference it could make if the treasure was found in one state versus the other. Here, let's do a quick example. Let's assume the total value of the treasure is now somewhere in the $3.5 million range based on the estimate that JCB gave at TreasureCon earlier this year. That could mean that the lion's share is worth close to $2 million based on JCB's claim that it's worth more than the other 4 boxes combined. If the lion's share is found in California, that would mean that a searcher would pay over $250,000 in state taxes. Keep in mind that the searcher would also have to pay federal income tax on the treasure as well, resulting in a giant tax bill. This $250,000 compares to $0 if the treasure was found in any of the 9 states that don't have personal income tax, like Nevada. This is a pretty significant difference, and one reason why I think it's unlikely that JCB hid a treasure in either California or New York, and if a treasure is hidden near Lake Tahoe, it's likely on the Nevada side. Now, this conclusion could be incorrect. After all, JCB has said in interviews that he has offered an incentive to the finder to let him know that a treasure box has been found. Maybe this incentive is an offer to pay some or all of the state tax bill. If this is the case, maybe those states are still in play. In addition, there is a giant tax loophole that it looks like Jon is prepared to take advantage of called the Gift Tax Exemption. The way this works is that after a treasure is found, Jon could gift it to the finder tax-free as long as he hasn't already used up his lifetime gift exemption of $15 million. In an interview with Calazars last year, he explains what he's prepared to do. Here, let's listen.
Are you going to be gifting the box and contents for tax purposes to the finder?
Yeah. I know that, I know that Forrest and some other treasure hunts have taken great means to do a lot of legal things that I didn't do because that's just not really my personality to do that. But yes, like if there's specific things that would benefit a finder, things that we need to arrange, I'm happy to arrange whatever will make it easiest for that person or those people. And I have more than enough, legal minds in my sphere of influence that we can figure out the best thing to do and dot all the I's and cross all the T's when the time comes.
Okay, so it sounds like JCB hasn't formalized anything, but intends to likely use his lifetime gift exemption to help eliminate the tax bill if necessary. So maybe we shouldn't care about taxes at all. I'm not so sure. And here's why. First, when JCB was picking the locations to hide the treasures, there was no guarantee that the lifetime tax exemption of $15 million was still going to be in effect when the treasures were found. The increase in the tax exemption that covers the treasure was set to expire in 2025 until the big beautiful bill signed into law last summer made it permanent. Also, there's still the possibility that Congress changes the tax rules to eliminate this loophole sometime in the future. After all, as a country, we keep spending more than we take in, and at some point, probably going to cause real problems. And since it's impossible to know exactly when the treasure will be found, there's always the unfortunate chance that JCB isn't alive when it's found, and therefore might not be able to use his gift exemption to help the finder out. Therefore, I still think it makes sense to consider these tax implications when narrowing down a potential boots-on-the-ground location. For instance, recently I've been picking up some clues that have me wondering if maybe eastern Tennessee or western North Carolina could be a possible location for one of the boxes. Looking again at the map, you can see that there's a pretty big tax advantage from hiding the box in Tennessee, where the state income tax rate is 0. But I know what you must be thinking. Yo, HT, you're speculating a lot about taxes. Have you found any clues in the book that back up the idea that taxes might be a factor? Great question. I think maybe there are. Let's revisit the beginning of chapter 2 and the story JCB tells about researching which jobs pay the best when he was graduating from college. You may remember that he decided to go to the school library to do his research. He writes, I grabbed a worn gray book off the shelf. I flipped through and stopped at a page titled Income. On the very top line of that page, with an annual income higher than all the rest, was the answer I was looking for. The letter spelled S-A-L-E-S. Voila! Just like that. I knew. What's interesting to me here is the two words JCB seems to be trying to draw attention to in this passage are income and sales. Coincidentally, these are two types of taxes, income tax and sales tax. States that have no income tax often have the highest sales tax rates. After all, they have to get the revenue from somewhere. So instead of taxing the money that you earn, they tax the things that you buy. So maybe when JCB writes on the very top line of that page, the letter spelled sales, he's referring to this concept that the state where you get to keep the most of your income because of no state income tax is also the state where you pay the highest sales tax. And if this is correct, maybe he is making a reference to the state of Tennessee because not only does it have a 0 state income tax, it also has the highest average state sales tax at 9.6%. Again, this is all speculation on my part, but it's definitely something I will be keeping in the back of my mind as I think through the clues. It also wouldn't surprise me if JCB has left some clues in chapter 2 when he's talking about income and sales that might lead directly to the state where the lion's share box is hidden. Anyway, that's all I've got for today's video. I hope you found it interesting and that it helps you with your hunt.